Hi, this is a webinar on the teacher's view for the administrator using the ThinkWave system. First, you will want to click on the Teachers tab. This gives you an overview of the teachers in your system. It's similar to the Students view, but there are some very important differences. To add a teacher, click Add Teacher at the top left. Then enter the first and last name and click Save. The teacher ID is automatically created. You can select the teacher from the menu at the top left. And here you can edit the name, address, etc. Here's where you can add a picture of that teacher, and here's where the teacher ID is listed. Here you can invite the teacher to use the ThinkWave system by either printing out the invitation or by sending an email. Here at the bottom right, you can suspend the teacher access to the account by clicking on the pause button. You can also reactivate the account by clicking on the pause button again. Here you can reset the teacher account by clicking here. So for instance, if a teacher forgets their username or password, you can reset it here so they can select a new one. When they're invited to the ThinkWave system, the teacher will come into the system with a pre-populated gradebook, and all of their classes and students will already be in the gradebook. As with the students, you can invite all the teachers at one time in the Setup and Invite screen. Going back to the Teacher tab, by clicking Visit Teacher Gradebook, here you can see what a teacher sees when they log into the ThinkWave system. This will display the messages they post for their classes, the students that they have in their classes, their gradebook, and their account settings. We'll go into more detail on those settings later. Now click Return from Visit. Here's where the classes that the teacher have are listed. You can also select the classes that the teacher has by hovering over the Teacher tab. Here's where you can see the teachers that the class is assisting in. And here's where you can upload the files associated with that teacher. And here's the blog ID for that teacher. The teacher will select their own blog ID. I'll show you how they can do that in a moment. And finally, here in the top right is where you can delete the teacher from the system. In order for the teacher to be deleted, you have to reassign their classes and remove any of the data in the custom fields for that teacher. The ThinkWave system intentionally has several steps to remove someone from the system to prevent accidental removal of data. So you don't have to worry about accidentally removing a teacher, student, or class. You can create a custom field that just goes on the Teachers tab below, or create a custom fields that go into a separate tab. To create a custom field, go to the top right and click the Settings icon, selecting New Custom Field. Type in the name of the field. There are 4 different fields that can be created. Right now we're creating a short text field, but you can also create a long text field, a predefined choice, and a date field. A predefined choice is something like gender, so male or female. And for predefined choice, you can add the choices below, then click Save. Once you create those fields, they will appear at the bottom of the Teachers tab. If you want to organize them in tabs, you can create a custom tab. To create a custom tab, click on the Settings icon at the top right, and then select New Custom Tab. Then enter the type of tab you want and where you would like it to appear. Then click Save. Once you create a tab, you can add the custom fields to that tab by clicking on Customize, then Edit Tab. You can access the Classes page, Assisting page, the Teacher Login settings, and Visit Teacher Gradebook by hovering over the Teachers tab. Now we'll go into the Classes tab. This is where you have all the information for each of the classes in the system. The classes in specific refer to the individual courses. So for instance, for 7th grade, you will need to create each individual course, like 7th grade Social Studies, 7th grade Math, etc. Here you can enter the name, and here how many credits the class counts for. The credits are assigned per term. So for instance, if you have a math course in both terms, and you want it to count for 1 credit for that year, then you would have to make it worth a half a credit so that both terms would equal 1 credit for the whole year. To add a class, click on the Add Class button at the top left. And here you can enter the course name, the term it covers. You can select one semester or both. The period to be assigned. If it's for an elementary school, an administrator can create an all-day period. And here is where you can select the teacher assigned to that class. Here you can enroll the students into that class. This may not be the most efficient way to enroll a student, so you can leave it blank and enroll the students in another menu, which I'll show you shortly. The type of final grade is selectable from the pull-down menu. You can have one or more final grades within the school, so you can have a letter grade or a percent, and if the school wants to create a custom grade, like kindergarten for example, that would show up here. To create a custom grade, go to Setup, then under Grading, click School's Final Grade Scales. Then at the top left, click Add. Now go back to the Classes tab. Here would be any additional tags you would have. This is used in the custom reporting functionality, so you can include or exclude classes in calculations or views. Below that, there's a selection for honors, so you can select this if a student would get extra value in the GPA, which also is selectable in the Setup menu. Here you have the option of excluding a class from report cards and transcripts, like for instance, a homeroom class. Section is where you can note if a class is taught in multiple sections. Here you can create a new section by clicking Add Section at the bottom. That way you can have all the information of a class remain the same, but have the different sections noted if they're taught by a different teacher. And here's where you can note the location of the class. Here's the pull-down menu where you can select the teacher assigned to the class. And here's where you can reassign the teacher to the class if you have a teacher leave in the middle of a term. As mentioned before, this would need to be done before a teacher can be removed from the system. When reassigning a teacher, all the gradebook and attendance data is copied from the previous teacher to a new teacher automatically. You have the option of canceling before you completely reassign the class, and it's easy to reassign the classes back to the original teacher. You can also assign assistants to that class here. Here's where you can select the terms that the class is in, and here's where you can select the standards and skills. The standards and skills are completely customizable. If you click the Edit button on the right, you can add any standards and skills for the class by checkmarking it on the left. If you want to create a custom standards and skills, then you can click Create or Edit at the top left. Once you add the standards and skills you want for a class, you can arrange them in any order by dragging and dropping. Then click Save. And this will be the order they appear in on report cards and transcripts. Here's where you assign the period for each day. Each day is selectable if the class meets on different periods. You can customize the schedule whether you want the class to meet at different periods on each day, and if a class doesn't meet on a certain day, you can select No Meeting. Or you can customize it to have the class last all day, like if it's for an elementary school. If you have a class that meets on a Saturday or Sunday, you can add days by going to the Setup tab. Then select Days of the Week and scroll down to the bottom. And there you can add the days of the week, and that will show up on the Classes tab. There's also very flexible options for setting up different day schedules, such as minimum days and AB schedules. And now go back to the Classes tab. We'll go into more detail on that in another video. Here you can clone the class if you have similar classes. You can also clone a class with the student enrollment. From the Classes tab, you can also enroll students. As mentioned earlier, this is a more efficient way to enroll the students because you can easily add multiple students at one time. Click on the edit icon next to Class Enrollment, and this will take you to the enrollment page for that class. First, select the group of students you want on the left pull-down, and this will display all the students in that group. You can click on the top mark and it will automatically select all of the students in that group, as well as you can add a student in late enrollment or early withdraw. To delete a class, you'll have to remove all the students from enrollment and any grade data. Then you can click the Delete button at the top right. You can access the gradebook for this class by selecting Visit Teacher Account at the top right. This will give you full access to the teacher's gradebook and allow you to see what the teacher sees when they log in. You can enter or change a grade by clicking on it, and the final grade is automatically tallied when you click Save. You can go into detail by hovering over the Gradebook tab and selecting Assignments. Here you have the total calculated grade of the student and the grade for that assignment. You can also add a comment here. If there's any uploads from the student for that assignment, they will appear here. There's also the view of Gradebook by student. In Final Grades by Class, you can grade the student on the standards and skills that we mentioned earlier. As an administrator, you can access and change all the final grades at one time. To override the final grade, click Return from Visit and go back to the Administrator view. Then go to Final Grades by Class under the Classes tab, and here you can override the grades for each class. If you go back to Visit Teacher Account and select the Attendance tab, this will allow you to see the attendance records for that class or each student, as well as the comments from the teacher. And finally, from the teacher's view, if you go to the Setup tab and under General, click Blog ID. And this is where the teacher will select their blog ID as mentioned earlier. And this address is where their blog will be displayed, where they can post announcements. Click Return from Visit at the top and go to the Administrator view. And this shows you some of the features in the Classes and Teachers view in the ThinkWave system. Thanks for watching.